Ooh, this is exotic. Muscle-cat media. Nice. Cultural.
Bum, 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 bum. We've come from evil and we've come from far. Every corner beneath the stars. 14 motions standing as one. Baseball expats on the run. We're the team of nations. Hear the crowd all roar. Falling for each other. Building even more Pull down to Korea, Fumo to Taiwan, Mexico, Venezuela, the boys keep marching on. Oh, the team of nations, wild, strong, and free. 14 folks together, one big family. Now, there is more to that, but I haven't quite polished it totally out yet. Welcome, everybody. There's the song.
I have questions. Well done, but I have questions. Explain to the good people what the hell that was all about. But I have questions after. I have some, not critiques, just some clarifications.
Well, look, if you caught the last episode, at the end of it, I was beginning to write down some potential lyrics for a theme song for this team in the style of like an Australian sporting event. Or if you don't know what that is, it's like we're ready for winning a sporting event in Australia is you get some competition points and you get to go in the locker room, hold hands, and sing a song. Kind of sounds like that. So I wanted to write one for our theme team that we drafted last episode in the theme of real songs in sport, which is also a discussion on the last pod. So because you cut me off and didn't let me sing it last episode, I figured before anyone said a single word in this week's episode of the Friday Pickoff, I would just jump in right away with the first draft of our Destiny, not a Destiny draft, like our theme team song, which was 14 countries drafted into a baseball team.
Spoon, your thoughts?
I like it. I do have to ask the question if you're going to go back and flesh out all the other theme teams we built, because I'm curious what some of the alphabet ones would sound like. You know, if you can slip in a Zerpa and a Zephyr into a Q to Z team, I'm going to have a newfound respect for you.
It might be the way that they teach the ABCs in schools from beyond.
Maybe I'd start you like an A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Zephyr John is even like you have to work that in.
Zephyr John's ERA is 7.3.
Yeah, they could be letters and numbers. Yeah, that's outstanding. Well, look, I do have some questions. 14 nations. Again, for those that didn't listen during the week, we put together, in the spirit of the World Cup, we put together a theme team where every player at every position had to be from a different country. We probably should have done it basically the reverse strategy of what we took, but never mind that. I do have some questions. So you said the 14 nations. The word free was in there. Did you check to make sure that all 14 nations were free nations?
Well, no, but the thing is this is our theme song playing in our stadium, so they have free when we're playing for us, right? Like it's our.
Well, I was gonna have opinion.
I was going to argue. I don't remember who it is, but you can. It's cool.
It is 14 flags together, right? That's the whole idea here.
I don't remember who the Cuban player is that we picked, but I'm certain that they probably defected.
One player as well.
Good point. We're really treading the Democratic line here. Yeah, that's true. We've got a Cuban and a Taiwanese player for sure. So maybe look, I'm not telling you to go back to the drawing board. These are just notes. There was also a question about us being on the run at one point in that song. What are we running from?
Well, we're just on the run. We're running the bases. We're running around the world. We're just on the run. And the thing is the key point to understand about this lyric is it rhymes with the word one. Which is the previous lyric is 14 nations standing as one. So we were in a quick bond and needed to find a word that rhymed with one, and I chose run. and I decided that we were on the run. That's the poetic meaning behind it.
Look, I'll give it a pass, Mark. It was a good effort, and you were the one that kept asking me for a theme song, and lo and behold, you're the one that has created one. So, well done. You've done something that Spoon and I didn't endeavor to do, and we'll probably never endeavor to do, but it was a good effort nonetheless.
When we say like download one of those like AI music making things and like just can I hum it? Like, isn't that advanced the AI thing is? If I go to the tune, then say like, can you make it sound like this?
Yeah, there's a potential that could happen.
We need a Destiny draft song or jingle, that's for sure.
That might be it. Look, let's have a look at the Destiny Draft scoreboard. Eric and Spoon are leading comfortably, and that is really off the back of their pitching. Fernando Tatis has been pretty good for Spoon, but Mackenzie Gore leading the way with 9 points. Is Spoon leading Eric 15-14. The commissioner and myself are far behind, but neither of us have had any pitcher going, and one of the commissioner's pitchers may be out of commission. We'll get to that in just a second. But Spoon on 15 points, Eric on 14. All 14 of Eric's points, and even more than 14, in fact, 17 of Eric's points have come from pitching from Joe Ryan and Hunter Brown. Alejandro Kirk is sitting at a -3. Look, you boys you're still doing very well. Just wonder what the temperature is after a little less than a week of round 3 of Destiny Draft from it. Spoon, I'll start with you.
I mean, I feel good just because I've still got a start to come, right? So I'm going to get 3 Mackenzie Gore and 2 Will Warren. I think Eric's going to get 3 Hunter Brown, maybe 2.
Rightfully remaining.
Yeah, he might get 3 of both. If he gets 3 of both, then my sort of comment here doesn't make as much sense. But I feel like I'm ahead by 1, but with a game in hand. Like an English Premier League kind of table so far. And I have been happy with what Nando's been doing, because to keep those points ticking over on a team where you've got 2 pitchers is really important. And to your point about 17 of Eric's 14 points. He really isn't getting anything yet from Kirk. And obviously that can all change quickly, but so far so good. I'm feeling okay. And look, it's just nice to have 3 guys out there, which hasn't been the case for a few weeks.
Alejandro is being disappointing for me, especially because if you listen back to that episode, I said, do I take Matt Shaw? And then I looked at his numbers, and Matt Shaw had been terrible lately. And now Matt Shaw's got 11 points. So it's like, there's another universe where I just took Matt Shaw, and then all of a sudden we would have 28 points right now, which is killer. Like, I just need Alejandro Kirk to chip in with like 7 points total, but he's got some work to do. He's -3. He hasn't put a ball in play.
We need to figure out a way to do this efficiently. But there's a genuine betting strategy around for a 2-week block. The 4 or 5 guys that go undrafted, betting their props every day, because if you back Gavin Sheets every day for 2 weeks in round 1, you would have made a ton of money. If you back Mauricio Dubon every day for the next 2 weeks, you would have made a lot of money. And if you were backing Matt Shaw right now, what's he had? 5 hits, 3 runs, 4 ribbies in 3 games. You'd have a lot of money. Obviously, you'd probably end up losing a little bit of that because I think you'd have to start by backing all of them when you realize that a couple of them aren't going to have the undrafted boost that seems to happen to one guy. You'd lock in, but it's been pretty clear. If you remember the first and second rounds, like Gavin Sheets went crazy at the start and then he was the guy, right? And Dubon went crazy at the start and he was the guy. Matt Shaw's the guy right now. So if you're out there and you like betting on player props, Matt Shaw's going to have a really good next 10 days.
Yep.
Well, so Spoon and Eric are in their own competition, again, separated by just 1 point. What are we, 4 days into the competition? The commission and I are in a competition of just bad Destiny draft.
Who's going to be
in the ambulance time? Yeah, well, maybe at this point, neither of us. The commission sitting on 3 points. Those coming from, he's got 3 from Rafaela. He's yet to have an appearance from Jose Soriano and Tarek Skubal. Look, he took the risk of taking Skubal, who will get his second start back off the IL this weekend. But some news coming through today that it looks like Jose Soriano might not pitch again in the next 2 weeks.
Well, they've slated him for tomorrow, which is interesting because he was slated for today and he was a late scratch. So if they put him in tomorrow and they didn't make a roster move, they just call up this dude who got shelled from AA and then he got shelled again today. there's a chance the commish could pile on the biggest single day we've ever seen in Destiny Draft tomorrow if Soriano and Scooble both go around and he gets anything out of Rafaela. Because both of those guys at their best are 8, 9, 10 point performances. And, Rafaela can have a cheeky game here or there. I'm not sure, probably, I don't know if my wishes have reloaded yet, but at some point I'll ask our tech guru, Rolsey, to crunch the numbers on the best single day performance any team has had. I'd be surprised if anyone's posted more than 15 or 16 in their day, especially because we rarely rock teams that have 2 pitches, right? Like the setup we've got this round for 3 teams is quite rare. Looking at things, if Soriano is good to go tomorrow, Scooble is going to have more pitches than he had in the first outing back from the IL, and Rafaela is that bit of a wild card. If we see anything 20 or above, I think we're going to be looking at the record books for the commish.
I mean, Rolting's in a similar boat, right? Like if Roki goes, he's starting tomorrow, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then they're playing the O's, so all it takes is Ohtani to go 3 for 4 with a couple home runs and Roki to have a good start. Like, that is some serious upside as well. I am looking through just sort of the graphs of, like, the biggest jump, and, like, there is a day where someone's gone from 7 to 20, I think is the biggest jump so far. There was 20 to 42. That might be the biggest. 12 is the biggest day from what I can see in round 2.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, to your point, Rolsey could have a good day tomorrow, but he's still just got one hitter, right? And the way that the scoring ends up being so even is because you kind of get from one pitcher what you might get from 2 or 3 days worth of a hitter, right? So the setup is definitely there for the commish to go big, but at the same time, the opposite is true. It's very hard for a hitter to get you more than or worse than maybe -3. You might get a 3 or 4 strikeout game. A pitcher can get shelled, and if a pitcher gets shelled, that's really the volatility. So, which could be something behind it now to hype and his score tomorrow. Look out for Soriano and Scooble to both get lit up. But yeah, to me,
Roki could honestly get shelled tomorrow, and it ruins any hope I have of a comeback. Look, I mean, Ohtani and Yelich. I mean, Yelich has been decent. I mean, he homered yesterday, had a couple of base hits, but it's the strikeouts that are killing him. And it's kind of the same for Shohei. I mean, his only hit this week has been a home run, but he struck out 4 times, so he's sitting on -1. So not only do I need those guys to sort of pick it up, I mean, Yelich, I just need him to really continue doing what he's doing, just limit his strikeout numbers, because he would be sitting on 7 points through 4 days, which you would take. I mean, that would be just about as good as anybody who was drafted on an offensive standpoint. It's just the strikeout to what's sort of bringing me down. And obviously Shohei, coming off of what I think was a 30-point fortnight in round 2, he's on -1 after 4 days. That's I am the ultimate kiss of death is what we're learning in this Destiny draft competition.
I was going to say, I wonder if there's been a 4-day block all season where Otani's managed -1 cumulative points, but I'd be amazed.
Probably not. Enter me drafting him. That's all it takes. So again, look, you can head to baseballexpats.com. You can follow along. And again, a big day tomorrow because there are a lot of big arms going. Maybe the single best day in terms of starting pitching that we've seen in Major League Baseball this year. But before we get to that, I imagine that will feature in some of Spoon's weekend tips. I just want to have a quick look at the trade deadline. I mean, it's still a ways away. And we were kind of talking about it before we came on air that I think, selfishly, from a Cardinals standpoint, I think we could still be sellers, and I don't necessarily mind that. I said tongue-in-cheek that Dustin May's probably not going to have any more value than what he had after his 9-inning shutout performance against the Padres during the week, and he may very well be on the chopping block. But I'll put this to each of you. If there was one guy that you think is, sort of on the trade block and could get moved, who would you like to see it be, and where would you like to see them go? Spoon, I'll start with you on this.
For our team or anywhere? Or one of each?
Just anywhere. Any guy that is currently, you think, tradable and will get traded. And I mean, there's a lot of the obvious guys that we sort of talked about, and Tarek Skubal and Joe Ryan, and Byron Buxton's a big name, Luis Ariz. Not necessarily who you think could make the biggest impact, but just from a selfish standpoint, a guy that you like, that you would like to see go to a team that you think they could impact and have a bit of fun.
I would like to see my Arizona Diamondbacks bring Robbie Ray home. Guy's an expiring contract this year. We desperately need starting pitching. We couldn't fix him, but the Blue Jays fixed him, and now he's a very serviceable starter. He can kind of come back to where it all began. It's a little bit of a feel-good story, but he's also on a team that will be selling. The Giants, you mentioned Arise. They're going to be selling a few of these guys. They've got the fourth or fifth biggest payroll in baseball, and they are third or fourth worst, I think, by record. So the Giants will be sellers. Robbie Ray is not a name I've seen come up a lot, but I'd like to bring him home. I think he'd fill out a rotation nicely. They currently have 2 good starters in Erod and Soroka, and maybe 2.5 if you count Ryan Nelson. But Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly have both been between bad and atrocious on any given start. So bring back Robbie. Bring him home.
I would like to see, I'm going to keep going with the selfish one of the Toronto Blue Jays there, but I think there could be a fit for a number of teams here. Obviously, like Skubal is the number one guy, and any team would want starting rotate pitching, right? You need that. And I'm assuming the Jays will try to add a starter to try to fix the bullpen by adding length or add a bullpen arm to go heavily taxed guy, but that's just like the necessities. I would love to see the Jays try to make a move and get in on the Jeremy Pena sweepstakes, right? Like Spoon's mentioned it before on this podcast that Houston's in a bit of a tricky spot, right? They always want to win, but they don't really have a lot of assets at the moment because they've depleted them by having this window open for so long. Pena's a tradable guy. The contract extension didn't quite go through. I think the Jays are still struggling to replace a lot of that offensive production that Bo Bichette left as well. He's another infielder, right? So then you can kind of go with Jimenez, Clement, and Pena up the middle. You also have another designated hitter option. You have some different options at third base. You could move Kaz Okamoto to a DH. Like, there's just so much lineup versatility in that kind of combination that clearly John Schneider likes, right? Like his teams over the last few years just feature guys that can play multiple positions. So I think you could make that work. And Jimenez has kind of been struggling a little bit too, although he's been excellent defensively, but I think he's just a better and more natural shortstop option. So that's kind of I guess it's a little off the wall in terms of what they're talking about. Like, you give up a couple prospects to bring in, Jeremy Pena would be kind of cool.
Yeah, the Astros are a really interesting team. I declared them dead early, and then they kind of went on a little run. They've got Hunter Brown back. They've got Josh Hader back, but they're still 6 games under 500 and fourth in the division. I don't think they're going to be making the kind of run we've seen from them in the past. And I think, a lot of those guys are going to be in that conversation. If you're the Houston Astros, you're probably keeping Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, maybe end list, right? Like anyone else should be gettable for the right price. And maybe that does include Josh Hader, who still has a couple of years left and when healthy is the best closer in baseball. So I think they're definitely a team to watch. A lot of those teams that are within a few games of 500 now, that includes the Diamondbacks, over the next 10 days, if you will, or the next few weeks, it's going to decide whether they're buyers and sellers. And there's a lot of talent and expiring talent on these teams.
I want to see Byron Buxton go somewhere where he can legitimately play late into the playoffs. I think every baseball fan wants to see that. He's not going to go to St. Louis. I mean, look, Major League Baseball is saying, look, this MLB.com article is saying that his potential fits are the D-backs, the Padres, or the Phillies. I think there is a legitimate case to be made for the Atlanta Braves to go after Byron Buxton. And Spoon, I think I said this to you maybe a month or so ago because I was doing as you like to do, and I was, for whatever reason, late at night, deep in Braves Reddit, and I don't know why I was there, but for whatever reason, I found myself there, and somebody brought it up, and I thought it was interesting because it would be fun, but I was like, oh, maybe there's not necessarily a fit there. But when you really break things down, I mean, obviously, if you get a healthy Acuna, which is a big question mark, and like Michael Harris II is having an incredible season in center field, so that's kind of where things maybe get a little bit wishy-washy because Buxton is a center fielder. But when you look at the production that the Braves are getting out of left field, I mean, Mike Yastrzemski has started most of the games there. He's hitting .228. He's got a WAR that's barely above 0. And Byron Buxton's contract for the next 2 years is only $15 million. Why wouldn't you take a punt on a guy like that? If the Braves legitimately think that this is their window and this is their year, I mean, you could move Harris to left field. You could probably actually legitimately just play Buxton in left field if you went and got him. And the contract is not massive. He's having a career year. He's finally healthy. He's got a WAR near 3, and we're in June. And can you just imagine how fun he would be on that team. I grew up a Braves hater. I'm not a Braves fan. There was a lot of Braves fans in my neighborhood whenever I grew up, and I learned to hate the Braves. But this team is like, they're hard to deny at this point, right? So to think of a team like the D-backs or the Phillies or the Padres ended up landing with Buxton, who are, going to struggle to make a playoff spot because they're likely not going to win their division. I would much rather see him bolster a division-leading team by taking a Mike Yastrzemski type and replacing him with a Byron Buxton type, because then I think the Braves become legitimate World Series chances. And if selfishly, it would just be fun to watch.
I think there's one team I'd be interested in the thoughts of you guys on, as far as they should be sellers, but they might not be because they're this team. The Red Sox are terrible, right? This is one of the worst Red Sox teams ever. They had 13 guys on base yesterday against the Blue Jays, and they lost 3-0. That's hard to do. There are some big names on that team that are expiring at the end of this year. The obvious one is Aroldis Chapman, right? Like Aroldis Chapman has a mutual option for next year. He will get a haul of prospects if they trade him. But then they've got guys like Sonny Gray as a mutual option for next year. Quality starting pitching. He ends up somewhere. Then there's a couple of guys with a year or so left, like a Wilson Contreras. And I think they need to retool completely. This team right now is young and bad. They might as well get younger and worse. And a few of these old pieces on that team don't really make sense to stick around for the rebuild or retool or whatever you want to call it.
Even Jarren Duran, he's only got a year left after this year, and the Red Sox outfield is just a mess. So
yeah, Yoshida, he's sort of come good this year after a bit of a slump, but he's 32. He's got 1 year left after this year. Like, anyone over the age of 28 shouldn't really be in the Red Sox right now.
Anyone.
Yeah. Well, I think Chapman's going to be the big relief piece, which is going to be interesting what teams pay for a guy who's 38 years old, but he's still arguably the best closer in baseball, right? And a good closer like that, we saw what Mason Miller got as a whole. Obviously, a different situation. He's younger and contracted for longer. But if the Red Sox do this right, they can turn one bad season into a catapult for the future.
When you need look no further than how the Red Sox are going. I mean, last year, the Cardinals traded Steven Matz to the Red Sox for half a year, and they got Blaze Jordan in return. And look at what Blaze Jordan's done since he's been called up. I mean, and the Red Sox have done this quite a bit in terms of getting rid of talent to win now. I just don't necessarily know what they have in their farm system. So you're right. I mean, it's like, if this isn't the team to take them to the promised land, they need to retool because they've given up so many guys. I mean, Blaze Jordan just one of a number of guys in their sort of top 30 that they've given up in the last couple of years. So they have to retool. Yeah. If they're going to have to get rid of some of these guys, if they're not going to win now, because they've got to retool the farm system.
And they've pushed their chips in. We praise them for it. Probably maybe too much, because they've done a lot of these big extension before the guy even plays. And we're like, this is cool. This is a new approach to, like how you treat guys with arbitration, all that kind of thing. Like, they're just paying them now because they believe in them. It hasn't worked. Like, it's Brian Baer's like forgotten how to throw baseballs pretty much. And they have to use him out of the bullpen with an opener in front of him because they're running out of ideas. I don't like what it means for the sport, because I think other teams are now going to be hesitant to do this. But, to your point, they traded away some young talent, but then the talent they kept, they were wrong about, and they doubled down. And they are in a really weird spot, especially if we're going to have the conversation around salary cap. Like, they've thrown some bags at these guys that are tied up for a long time, and some of them are playing AAA baseball right now.
Yeah, maybe you look at Roman Anthony. They gave him that deal last year. I mean, he had a 3.3 WAR as a rookie, and his sophomore campaign has gone backwards, right? So, I mean, maybe it changes the psyche of a player. Instead of having to work your way through arbitration and having that many years of team control, getting that big deal straight away, you sort of let your foot off the gas a little bit. I mean, the Cardinals were talking about, I think, tabling $80 million to J.J. Weatherholt earlier in the year and kind of took the deal off the table. I think that probably had more to do with the CBA in St. Louis's case being sort of a mid-major market. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's almost like I think some GMs were looking at it and going, well, actually, it seems like they got these guys at a deal. But then now, whenever you kind of zoom out and time sort of runs its course, a lot of these guys, particularly for Boston, it's starting to look like they're not team-friendly deals at all.
They have $17 million in the minor leagues right now between Brian Bayo and Christian Campbell. And these guys, let me keep scrolling across. Christian Campbell's deal goes to 2034. He's playing AAA at $8 million a year. Like that is.
Yeah, I think they gave him 9 years or something, right?
Hey,
I think they gave him 9 years or something whenever they signed that.
yeah,
deal.
I know it's not the big money, $30 million flop like a Rendon, but if you look at the length of it and the fact that this guy hasn't even done anything, there's a conversation with Christian Campbell being one of the worst contracts in baseball and Brian Bayer not being far behind him.
Yeah, look, I guess the other number to that is he's like 23. Yeah, he's 22 years old, so it's like it's not. But at the same time, I think what we said, you need to probably get 1 out of 3 of these right. Preferably, you get 2 out of 3 right. And I mean, Anthony has been the best of the 3 that Boston have signed, but the year that he's had hasn't been great compared to his rookie season. Well, anyways, we'll have plenty of time to talk about the trade deadline as it approaches. We've still got probably 6 weeks or so till the trade deadline. There'll be plenty of fodder because, look, there's plenty of teams that could potentially be buyers, and the potential CBA at the end of the year certainly makes things very, very interesting. But we touched on it just a second ago. It's going to be a Saturday for the ages tomorrow. Look, there's a lot of really good World Cup soccer. Obviously, Australia playing the United States. Got some interest in that Scotland-Morocco game tomorrow morning as well. The Mighty West Tigers getting a chance to play a little bit of football tomorrow. But when you look at the slate in Major League Baseball, particularly from a pitching standpoint, it's maybe one of the best, probably the best Saturday that we've ever had from a pitching standpoint here in Australia this year. So, Spoon, I know your eyes will certainly be on the markets. What are we looking at for plays tomorrow for the big league slate?
Look, I know I can often be maybe too predictable, but I'm going to just rattle you guys with this one to kick things off tomorrow. First match I want to look at is Brewers at Braves. Rollsy's Braves, my Braves. I'm taking Jacob Mizorowski under 8.5 strikeouts tomorrow. I think he's coming off the longest performance of his career by a mile because he threw arguably the best game anyone's seen. That one hit, but then quickly erased by a double hit. 27 up, 27 down, 95 pitches, 15 strikeouts, just dominated the Phillies. Now's the time I typically want to turn on a guy, and I know that that's bold when you're talking about a guy like Mizorowski, but 8.5 against the Braves. This is a good Braves team. And I've seen some chat, again, lurking in fan bases that I don't even care about, in Brewers circles around how Mizorowski shouldn't be as short as he is right now for the Cy Young because they're going to start planning to shorten his pitch count a little bit. He's only on over 100 pitches once this year, and they really pushed him to get to that 95 in the last game that I just spoke about against the Phillies, which was, absolutely dominant. Do not be surprised if a young pitcher like this comes out tomorrow and just struggles to throw strikes. And the Braves are a team that will punish mistakes in and outside the zone. They're getting healthier. Drake Baldwin's back. He's a massive piece of that lineup. I think 8.5 is crazy. I've been watching his line for a while and not taking the over or the under for about 5 or 6 starts now because normally don't know what to do with an 8.5. A lot of things have to go right, but he's so good that it has. I just think tomorrow's the one on the road against the Braves off the back of that performance. I'm pretty happy to take his under 8.5 at even money.
Well, it's a good play because the Braves just don't strike out. Not only are they a good offense, they just don't strike out. I mean, they've got the 5th lowest team strikeout rate in the league, under 8 per game per 9 innings, right? And you expect Mizorowski to go, maybe max 7 innings. That 8.5 number does look pretty lofty against an Atlanta Braves team. So yeah, I think that's a good play. And it's got to happen at some point, right? I mean, we talked about it with Mason Miller, right? When he was just unbelievable and he looked unhittable, and we said whenever it goes wrong for Mason Miller, it's probably going to be catastrophic, at least for a single game. And you feel like that has to be coming for a guy like Jacob Mizorowski. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen tomorrow for your case and for the listeners and the punters out there. I hope that it does. But you do just feel like at some point he's going to have a game that, look, by any normal pitching standards would be fine. Sort of your 6-inning, 4 earned run, 7 strikeout type of performance. That's coming. He can't keep doing what he's doing. Like the law of averages just say it won't happen. So while it does sound crazy, I think it's a pretty good play and probably a good punt to take against a team like the Braves, again, because they don't strike out very much.
Yeah, and Drake Baldwin back means that the worst performing Destiny draft player, Sandy Leone, isn't going to be in that lineup, right? Like it's not just who comes back, it's who they replace a lot of the time with injuries. And this is already, I think, the best team in baseball, even better than the Dodgers, on what we've seen so far in the Braves. And it couldn't be a better matchup for me to take unders. It's not a thing I like to do a lot with the top guys because sometimes you sit there and they've got 7 strikeouts off 30 pitches and you're like, yeah, that's on me. But off the back of, his longest ever outing, now he's on the road, and against a team that are so good for so many different reasons. 8.5, I just can't have it.
Yeah, I like it. So Mizorowski under 8.5 strikeouts on the Friday night game in the U.S. against the Braves. Where else are we going tomorrow, Spoon?
Look, this is a guy who's burnt me a couple of times, but then he's redeemed himself recently. And there was a lot of hype around him being a 1-2 punch with Skeens coming into the season. And it just kind of hasn't eventuated that way. I think he was second favorite to the NL Rookie of the Year heading into the season. I'm talking about Bubba Chandler, who just really struggled to throw strikes. And when he did, they were getting crushed. About 5 weeks ago, he turned that around against the Blue Jays and he struck out 11. It was a start with Kevin Gossman on the mound for the Blue Jays. I remember looking at the combined strikeout line, and it was like $2.50 for 12, and both guys got double digits. It was just one of those crazy ones where both starters sort of brought the best out of each other. And if you look at his outing since, he's gone 5, 3, 7, and 6, and just been really consistent. And all the talk about, he needs to go back down has completely evaporated. He plays the Rockies tomorrow, which is a great team to play when you're hunting strikeouts. And I was really surprised by the pricing. You can get 6 or more strikeouts at $2.25. That's now a number he's kind of hitting with a little bit of consistency. And a Rockies team, if you get through that lineup twice, that's 18 outs, you're probably going to be getting 6 strikeouts. So as long as he can throw strikes, and again, I would be surprised if he gets up there and he can't because of everything I've seen. I think $2.25 is a great price, particularly a guy who gets a lot of his strikeouts on an electric fastball. That typically plays better at cores than guys who rely on, nitpicking and nibbling on the edges with some off-speed stuff. I think Bubba Chandler can just go out there and throw strikes. And if he does do that, 6 strikeouts at $2.25 is a great play.
It's sort of crunch time for the Pirates too, right? Like they hanging around 500, won a couple games, trying to avoid falling too far back in that division. So like they got to pounce on the Rockies.
Yeah, you think that they're trying to go there to sweep, right? I'm not sure. We're probably due to see Skeens soon, so I'm going to guess he's got the Sunday matchup. They'll be going into this one thinking we're sweeping, and the tone needs to be set by Chandler tomorrow, which I think he can deliver.
So we're looking at Mizorowski under 8.5, Bubba Chandler over 6. I mean, are there any other games tomorrow that you're excited to watch as a fan? I mean, we've talked about it, but look, you just look up and down this slate. I mean, you've got Ben Brown with a sub-2 ERA going tomorrow. Tarek Skubal making his second start in his return. Cam Schlittler is slated to pitch again tomorrow. Like, I mean, you just look up and down these games tomorrow. I mean, DeGrom's going again against the Padres, who are struggling. I mean, he could very well have an incredible game at home tomorrow. So it just looks like up and down. The pitching tomorrow is insane.
I'll give you one name to watch tomorrow that I'm really excited, and probably a bit stiff not to make my honorable mentions just before. Bryce Miller is pitching unbelievably for Seattle. He's made 5 starts. He's got an ERA of 1.54 and a whip of 0.7. His last outing against the Nationals, he struck out 7, allowed a couple of runs, went 8 innings. This guy is just unbelievable to watch. There was a weird little portion of the season there where they were using Bryce Miller and Luis Castillo as like a piggyback. One guy would go 4 or 5 and the other would go 4 or 5. Bryce Miller has now clearly said, I'm that guy in the rotation. And the way he's been pitching, he's just getting better and better. He had a slow start to the season. He came back from injury. I think his first start was middle of May. But some of the stuff he's been doing since, I mean, he pitched a 1-hitter against the Tigers with 9 strikeouts 2 starts ago. So yeah, that's a guy that I haven't seen getting a lot of attention. And, he's in a great rotation with the likes of George Kirby and Logan Gilbert and some big names there. But I think Bryce Miller is a really exciting pitcher to watch. And I'll be watching that, which is the last game of the slate, I think, tomorrow. Yeah, 11:40, Red Sox on the road.
Even the Battle of Missouri, right? Like Lugo versus McGreevy is a pretty good matchup with both those guys.
Yeah, the Cardinals needing a bounce back after Matthew Liberatore, which
Wallet.
Not good today. Well, I mean, the defense, they didn't help me. Bobby Witt actually left with injury in that game, so it'll be interesting to see if Witt can come back. Hopefully it wasn't too serious. I mean, even though the Cardinals are playing a 4-game series against them, Bobby Witt's not the kind of guy that you want to see out for very long.
Does the winner get like the key to Missouri or something like that? Like, how does this work between the two teams?
I don't know. Well, the Cardinals took 2 or 3 from them in St. Louis, so I don't know what happens with the season series. I don't know.
It's a
good question.
It's interesting you mentioned the Bobby Witt. As soon as that happened, I was watching that game. I quickly put even more money on Yordan Alvarez to win the AL MVP. since that's happened in the last hour or so, Bobby Witt's out to 750, fourth favorite. So they're obviously expecting he's going to miss a little bit of time.
Ooh.
Yordan Alvarez into $1.67.
It didn't look that serious. Like, it just looked like the turf monster kind of jumped up and grabbed him. But I mean, usually you would see him because he was fielding a ground ball to his right with a runner at first base. Usually you'd see him pop up and go to second. But it's almost like when he tried to pop up, like nothing came out, to use the term that we've used on this show a few times. It's almost like he wanted to hop to his feet and couldn't, and then he was sort of clutching at the inside of that right knee, which is not a good sign. Yeah. Hopefully, nothing serious.
Keep an eye on the news, because that 750 won't last long if he's back in the lineup tomorrow. So if Bobby Witt's a guy you want for the AL MVP, keep smashing refresh on any news, because if he's back and he's okay, then this is a massive market overreaction. But if he's not and he's out for a little bit of time, we could be looking at a two-horse race now for the AL MVP between Yordan Alvarez and Nick Kurtz.
What about Ben Rice?
Yeah. I think the Ben Rice one, he's going to benefit more if Judge and Stanton are out for longer, right? Like if those guys come back, I know stats are stats, but there's a little bit of a narrative to it too, right? Like if he's the one who's carrying the Yankees offense without those names, his stats can do enough to get him right in the conversation. I don't think he's going to have a better season than Yordan Alvarez, to be honest. But that narrative angle is huge. If either of those guys come back at some stage in the next month and all of a sudden it's like Judge, Stanton, and the Yankees, and this guy's in the MVP conversation, but he's not even in the team headline, that probably doesn't work in his favor.
Well, Ben Rice was having a much better season with Judge in the lineup. I know this because he was on my Destiny draft team in round number 2. And as soon as Judge went out and Dominguez was protecting him instead of Aaron Judge protecting him, his productivity went down, right? So there's something to be said for hitting in front of Aaron Judge in a lineup, because you're going to get more to hit. I don't know the exact numbers, but I would venture to say that his batting average is probably down 70 points since Judge has been out. And that just goes to show that Aaron Judge is truly the MVP of that team, right? Because when he's in the lineup, Ben Rice sees more to hit, et cetera, it has a knock-on effect. But yeah, look, I mean, if he can carry that team while those guys are out, I mean, it's kind of the same argument for Cam Schlittler, right? Obviously Cam Schlittler's numbers speak for themselves, but you've mentioned it a few times in the last couple of weeks, Boone, that, I mean, he could even have a stinker or two and probably still be the front runner for the AL Cy Young because of where he pitches. And because he wasn't expected to be the SP1 for that team, and now all of a sudden he's stepped up. And it's more of a narrative play than anything else in the AL Cy Young for Cam Schlittler. Yeah.
And, Max Fried comes back. Cole's been good since he's been back. Rodon's working his way back as well. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, if he has a weaker second half and he's not, one of the names on that team, all favors Dylan Cease, baby.
What does Junior Caminero need to do to rocket up the AL MVP? Possibly, I'm not saying it's locally, but I think there is a viable pathway somewhere there. Where he's there to win the division, he hits 25 homers in the second half and finishes with 40 on the year.
Yeah, I mean, Yordan Alvarez has 24 homers now and a 194 OPS plus. He probably needs him to get injured, right?
I think Caminero would have to hit 50. If I'm honest.
Yeah, but what if Alvarez just pulls down a little bit and ends up hitting 44 and Caminero hits 40 again, has an OPS that's kind of similar, and the Rays win the division?
Well, his OPS plus now is 136 compared to 194, and for Yordan, and he's got 1.7 WAR compared to Jordan's 3.4. So he's literally been twice the player.
Yeah. Jordan's twice the player of the average player. And he has a plus with Junior. He's definitely more than twice the man I'll ever be. I'll give you the tip.
So what you're saying is Aaron Judge is going to come back at the end of July, go on a heater for 2 months and win an MVP, is what I've concluded from this conversation.
Is he even in the betting anymore? I mean, he shouldn't be. But he is. You can get him at 201s. So yeah, like I said before about Bobby Witt, if you like Aaron Judge, then keep refreshing news and hope he gets a third and fourth opinion and he's back in the lineup sometime too.
Well, it's a big weekend of sport. Again, looking forward to the Socceroos USA game tomorrow. I don't know if you boys noticed, but I've got a little stars and stripes sort of action just back behind here. No ifs, ands, or buts about who my allegiance is with tomorrow as the USA takes on Australia. That's what Eric said. Get a unique joke. Again, just to recap Spoon's tips, Miz under 8.5 strikeouts tomorrow, Bubba Chandler over 6. And we will be back next week with more baseball fun. But it's a fun weekend of sport, a fun weekend of baseball. Enjoy it, everybody. We'll chat to you next week.